You are listening to the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast, my favorite podcast to listen to on long flights across the galaxy.
This is the way.
We're wanted men.
Spoken.
Welcome to episode 105 of the Smuggler's Galaxy podcast. I'm your host, Glenn, and with me, as always, is my co-host, Jason, or co-host Glenn and co-host Jason. I don't know. It's always kind of weird.
Yeah, you're the host. I'm the co-host.
Yeah, why not? Let's do that.
How
you doing?
I'm good. I was also looking at because I was doing descriptions for the episode last week, and the way the show is titled, "Smugglers" with apostrophe S, means there's only one smuggler.
I guess I need to change that.
Smuggler's Galaxy. The apostrophe should be at the end. It's a plural possessive.
So I guess we need to change that.
Oh, we've gone this long. Why change it now?
I don't think anybody cares.
No,
dude.
no one does. Just the grammar. Oh, sorry, my computer's restarting. The gremlins were on full force, and it was a 20-minute Zoom update, and I gave up and decided to use another computer.
Yeah, dude. Computer. I'm still dealing with computer issues on my end. My computer, I guess, caught some kind of virus on an update. Is the best thing that they can figure out, and my wife's IT guy is kind of doing it on the side, so he's doing it for free, and it's been a month, and I'm getting aggravated, but I can't get aggravated because he's fixing it for free. Yeah. So it's just sort of like, I'm just gonna go with it, and yeah, whatever.
Make it work.
Computer. Yeah, as long as you're cool recording and editing, I'm good. We'll keep going. It's just, yeah, I'm so used to coming downstairs in the morning and playing on my computer, and I haven't done that, but I'm getting a half an hour extra sleep in the morning. So what's worse? What works? What's better?
As long as it's working, difference doesn't make.
Yeah. How's your week been?
Good. I got a bunch of retro collection figures, all the Obi-Wan stuff. I got Nalin Cheel, a boxed one for me and Orion. So I got to get that to Orion next weekend, probably.
Oh yeah, we got our meetup next weekend.
Yeah. And I also got lucky. I went to well, first of all, Sam's found the Chase X-Wing for me and sent that over. So I'm on the lookout for something for him. He wants a TVC Ahsoka Trooper, so he wants to troop build that. So when I find one of those, I'll mail one to him in return.
Is he still looking for the Ahsoka mini, the blind box?
I don't know. I have an extra.
I do too.
Oh. Did you ever get a stand?
No, I bought two more, and I got an Ahsoka. I was trying to weigh them, feel them, and I picked the heavier of the two, thinking maybe it'll be a Cobb Vanth, because that's about the only way you can tell. Mm-hmm. And nothing. It was, I got the Ahsoka. Hey, Jason, getting a little frisky.
No, start my computer.
I
knew you were going to say something, because I angled my camera and at my stomach for a second.
He angled his camera down, so
as people can hear, I can see that.
Yeah. Anywho, we so I got another Ahsoka, and then I got that little AT-AT, that mini walker thing from Clone Wars. So I didn't have that one, so that was cool. And nobody tore into these, so I was surprised.
Yeah, I got a couple blind boxes this week with Speeder Bike, the AT, whatever it is, and another Mando and Ahsoka. I'm just getting really frustrated with those.
Yeah. Did you see the breakdown of them?
Yeah.
Somebody, and I don't have it up in front of me, but it seems like if you get one of them has like 2 or 3 chases in it, and one of them has nothing. So
I have a suspicion that because you were saying Cobb Vanth weighs the most, so I see a fresh case of 8. Yeah. I start holding them and they all feel the same. So it's like I keep getting the case without the chases.
Yeah.
But then yesterday I walked into a Target. It was kind of off the beaten path for me. I had to go pay for an invoice for work and at a printer. And on the way home, I stopped at a Target, and sitting front and center on a shelf was the white TIE Fighter. So I
Nice.
have all of the vehicle chases. I just don't have the blind box chases at this point. And then I still need Darth Maul from the blind box chases, but I'll get that eventually.
Mhm.
So it was a
Yeah, I
good
think.
week.
Yeah, awesome. I think I'm gonna give up on the blind boxes myself, but they're still kind of fun. It's a fun chase. I mean, I understand why they did it because not everybody, but there's a lot of blind box things out there, and
Yeah.
it's kind of fun, but annoying at the same time because you keep
It's
getting the same.
yeah, it's very frustrating.
At least it's only like a $6 thing. If it was any more, I think they would, they'd be in trouble. But
Yeah.
$6, you're kind of like, I can burn $6, but how many
Yeah.
$6 can you burn?
A lot,
Oh.
apparently.
Yeah, I guess maybe if you get the Cobb Vanth, you can make your money back. You get enough of those.
Maybe. It's so expensive. But anyways,
Yeah, anyway.
I was thinking about the money I would have to spend to buy all these blind box chases versus however much it is. How much is Cobb Vanth going for?
I don't know. I think it's in the $50 range.
Yeah,
But
like
do you really want to pay $50 for something that small?
yeah, but then in the end you might end up paying $50 to get Cobb Vanth. So it's like what's the path of least resistance there?
Right.
I don't know.
Dude, I guess
Who knows?
there's no right way or wrong way, man. I guess it just depends on what you want to spend. But it's kind of fun having the chasing stuff, but then it is aggravating when you open it up and you get your fifth Ahsoka.
Yeah, extremely. I'm tired of getting those chicken walkers. Whatever they are.
Yeah, I don't know what they're called. They're
They're
thing that
ATDPs or ATCTs or something. Don't at me, I don't care.
yeah, those are those things that in the Clone Wars, the little single man
Yeah,
walker
I
thing.
could easily look it up. I just don't feel like it right now.
Yeah. Well, you'd probably wreck your computer, so why look it up?
Yeah. My 3D printing has been on hold. I have a bunch of stuff that Narayan posted on was it the Georgia page, the name pills, which got a couple people's attention. And they asked for a couple pills, but my 3D printers I need a new nozzle and it's on its way, so it might be another week or two before I continue printing the cantina. But I did stop at Hobbytown and because I was looking for lighting for the cantina, and they had a plug and play kind of light situation where I don't have to do like resistors and AA batteries. It plugs into the wall, and it's really cool. It only has enough spots for 4 lights, and I needed 9, so I'm gonna have to compromise with 8 because the dude said I could splice the wires and connect them. So I'm excited about that. The only thing is it's a pinhole LED light. They're very bright, but they're pinhole LEDs. So I need to make it look like a light bulb somehow, because in the wall it's a light bulb, not a pinhole light. So you come up with a solution, and then there's always a new challenge. But I'm hoping to have it done by the Winter Social to have it to show off. But I don't know if I'm going to be able to get to that finish line in time, because it's just like I'm saying, there's a challenge and then a solution, a challenge and a solution. If it was just all sliding downhill, no problem, I'd be done by the Winter Social. But I don't know. Just filling time because we don't have a topic.
With that which makes you, gives you, what is it?
I don't know.
That which don't kill you makes you stronger. So
yeah, I mean it's
awesome.
it's a fun challenge, it's a fun hobby, but it can be frustrating sometimes.
Awesome.
Yeah, Hasbro released a couple new figures this week. GameStop Gaming Greats, one artillery trooper, which I considered getting because again I need a sand trooper, and this one has a pauldron for the cantina, but he doesn't have the backpack and the guns, so I decided not to order that. And then a white version of the battle droid. It's all repacks and repaints.
Yeah, freaking Hasbro. The only thing I saw interesting was they were back to the plastic packaging with the windows on the front of them.
That just means that they were made before the decision came through.
Okay.
Their announcement schedule is different. And again, I don't want to keep harking on this because it's really not an issue, but they are saving tons of money by not including the plastic in the packaging, yet the price hasn't decreased. And then I was seeing people complain about the new Gore, the comic version Gore, not the one from Thor Love and Thunder. On the front cover, he doesn't have pins in his elbows, so it's like a pinless joint. But when you open up the figure, he's got pins. And yeah, I guess in the grand scheme of things, that's not important, but it is, as someone who cares about the figures, it is, I don't care about this one, but going forward, it could be frustrating for Star Wars to have a figure on the front that's a computer drawing, computer rendering, and it's not the actual figure inside.
Oh yeah, I hate when they do that kind of crap.
Yeah, they used to do that all the time as a kid because I found this out now, when I'm older, but they used to shoot prototypes, and that doesn't necessarily mean the prototypes on the back are actually the figure that you're going to buy. And so as a kid, I'm like, why does this paint different? Why does mine not have that color paint there or this paint application? I didn't think of it like that, but it'd be like, why is there no paint on this belt?
Right. And the way they get by is they have that little asterisk. Product may not be the same.
Yeah.
They have that crap on everything. It's like
Yeah.
when you get a bag of chips and they look all nice and clean, and then they're broken up.
Yep.
So yeah, I didn't get anything Star Wars. Well, I did get something Star Wars this week, if you want to consider, technology. That was kind of cool. I finally got my hearing aid, my
yeah, right.
mounted hearing aid. So
is it working?
It's been huh?
Is it working? Well, I guess it's not working.
Well, when I did it, dude, it is such a weird thing because it wasn't what I was expecting, because it's making everything louder, not just the stuff on my right side. So if something happens on my left side, I can hear it. And like the other night, Mandy's opening a package and she's on my right side, and I'm like, what the hell are the dogs getting into? And then I look over and she's playing with bubble wrap, and she's sitting right next to me. So it's definitely a learning curve. I don't, it's weird because it's got like a compressor in it. So like when I'm in a restaurant or when I'm in a real noisy situation, it compresses that or turns the sound down. So it's hard. It's like, that's why I really wanted it for when I'm in a noisy situation. I can hear the person on my right side. So I'm going to talk to the audiologist, because they can plug it into the computer somehow, like do all this crazy stuff to it. So I'm going to have her adjust that. But like last night we were watching a movie and there was gunshots in it. And then like there were two gunshots and then there was a line of dialogue, and I missed the line of dialogue because my hearing aid heard the gunshots and compressed the sound, turned the sound down on me. So it's been a really cool learning curve. There were some times that it's like the little thing, the big things don't hit you, but then the little things, like when you're in an elevator and somebody's on your right and you can hear them, or when you're in a break room and somebody, whenever it's a lot, there's not a lot going on and there's somebody on my right side and I'm talking to them and I'm like, I can hear them. That's what it's cool.
Glenn, the $6,000 man, we can rebuild him.
$6,000 man. Shit, I wish it was less than that, but I haven't even got. Huh?
I was shooting a number like 6 million, but less.
Right, exactly.
Yeah.
These things. It's technology is crazy cool, but it's expensive, and it also, you. I don't want to get in a healthcare debate, but it's funny because you'll see like the bill, and then it's like, oh, the insurance company paid a quarter of that. So it's like, why can't you just charge the quarter of that and then everybody be cool?
Yeah.
But anywho.
Yeah, I don't know.
I'm now a Lobot. I'm now like a Lobot.
So I can just, with the flick of my iPhone watch, wake you up.
Almost.
Yeah.
I can connect it to my phone, which is kind of fun. But it got aggravating because every notification's going in my head, and I'm like, I don't want that. I just want to be able to, if I want to stream, I can stream music or whatever. So I had to take that part of it off. Plus they have to turn it up. it's really weird because I guess they didn't turn it up as loud as it can go, so my brain can get used to everything.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got an appointment in a few weeks, and I'll have them fix it all. And I got like 2 years worth of adjustments for free.
Nice.
Yeah,
Dial it
cool.
in.
Yep, just got to dial it all in. So it's
Dragon.
Dragon. Huh?
Yeah, I was gonna say Dragon Con's this weekend. You're not going?
No, I like going every couple of years, and if I get bored on Monday, I might go. But they've done the same thing. They are limiting tickets this year. They did it last year and they did it this year. And I know last year, like Mondays sold out, like every day sold out.
Mm-hmm.
I know today's sold out. I don't know about Sunday or Monday yet, but I like going every like 3 to 4 years at Dragon Con just because it's not a toy convention, it's a cosplay convention.
Yeah.
But it's fun. It's fun to go look at some of the vendors. It's fun to see the artists. But my issue is I don't, the art that I want, I can't afford. And then I don't have room to put anything else up.
As you look at the wall behind you and it's all filled with art.
Yeah. Well, the stuff that I want would be like some more original Christian art, and that's thousands of dollars. So
Yeah. I guess I should go as a resident of Atlanta now. Atlanta.
yeah.
But at some point, and it's not going to be this year. It's
The
just
way,
it's not a priority because it's not a toy show.
right. It's fun to go. The crowds are insane. If you haven't been there before, it's very disorienting because it's everywhere. It's like in 4 or 5 hotels.
Yeah.
So you've got to know but you give it to them because each hotel holds something different. So like the America's Mart has all the vendors, and then some hotels hold panels, and then other hotels have this, and other hotels have, go to one hotel to party, you go to another hotel for panels, and it's all over. It takes up a few blocks of downtown Atlanta, and as awesome as it is, not knowing it and only going every couple, no clue what I'm doing. So it's aggravating as somebody who would very well to go.
Yeah. Yep.
But yes, I would definitely go. You need to go at least once just to
Yeah.
get the experience of Dragon Con.
Yeah, if I would go, I'd probably want to go just to sit on Jordan's panels because he does all the paranormal stuff, which I'm no secret into. So
Right. What, you like paranormal stuff?
no, I don't. Yes, I do. Sorry to share that for the first time on this episode.
Dude, it's all good, man.
I'm tired. We went to karaoke last night, but I was the designated driver, but I didn't get to bed until like 1. So
Oh, geez.
my sleep schedule's off.
Dude, you should call me when you guys go do karaoke, man. Because
Well,
we were up.
we were invited.
Oh,
It was not like I was leading the way.
you were the third wheel.
Yeah. So,
It's all good. We
but then
can't
they
hang
were
out
all like
all the time.
they were like professional singers. Not really, but everyone was just on their game last night, and they were just incredible. And it was just singer after singer. I'm like, I'd hate to follow that person. I hate to follow that person. I hate to follow that person. It was just very intimidating.
Yeah. It can be, but then it's also fun when you get somebody, that just gets into it.
Yeah.
Yeah. I like going, like Reformation had karaoke a few weeks ago, and it was actually it was a couple of months ago, and it was kind of funny because it's out in public and you got people singing very inappropriate songs
Yeah.
in the middle of downtown Woodstock.
What do you want to talk
With
about this
children around.
week?
Dude, I don't know. There's not a whole lot. We've already talked about Hasbro and the repaints because everybody
Yeah.
hates a good repaint.
Yeah.
What do you want to talk about? I mean, I don't know. Joanna's next weekend.
I'm not going to that either.
No, I'm not going to Joanna.
Uh,
I mean, if you guys are into the G.I. Joe stuff, Joanna is next weekend up here in Atlanta. Dude, I didn't. Yeah.
Hold on. Let me.
Jason's going to look up some stuff on the computer. He's going to tempt fate. and look stuff up on the computer. But while you're doing that, dude, Dragon Con, the way you, unless you like shoulder to shoulder, don't go on a Saturday, man. Because I've got a picture of Peachtree Street from a few years ago, and it's shoulder to shoulder people, like miles for miles. And I enjoy that kind of crowd, and it was a lot for me. All right, so since it's such a crappy news week and there's not a whole lot going on, it's like, hey, Rogue One just came back out in theaters last week, so we'll talk about that for a minute.
Yeah, it's one of my favorites of the Disney trilogy, the Disney release.
Yeah, it's probably my favorite. Just because it's not Star Wars. It's weird saying it, but it's like it's not Star Wars again. It's not. I don't know. I think the reason why I liked it so much is I went into it with no expectations. I was just like, cool, it's a oddball Star Wars movie. Let's go watch it. And then as I leaving, I was just like, oh my God, that was incredible.
Yeah. It's a Star Wars movie, but it's not. It was supposed to be a war movie, but then they changed it to be more Star Warsy. There's no Jedi in it. Well, yeah, there's no Jedi in it. There's mention of Jedi, but and I guess Leia, well, she's got Force sensitive, but she's not a Jedi. But yeah, it's about the rebellion, and it's about its first attack against the Death Star, and their first, I mean, you know what it's about, but it's a successful attack. It's that the beginning of A New Hope mentions the rebels had struck the Empire from a secret base and won their first victory, and that's what the movie is essentially about. It's that line from A New Hope, and it's really well done.
Yeah, it's such a good movie. Yeah, because I think Rise of Sky, was it right? Yeah, Rise of Sky. No, what was it? Force Awakens. Force Awakens was great, but basically I'm watching Force Awakens going, could they have just picked another? It's the same plot as A New Hope.
Yeah.
They even down to like the 15 minutes to the Death Star, planets, it'll breach in 15 minutes. And I'm sitting there going, they couldn't have picked a better time or something stupid like that. But then when you get to Rogue One, it's just a totally new story. You've got, you've got K2SO that guy is just hilarious. And everything he does. And it's sort of like a C-3PO with an attitude, with an FU attitude type thing, or devil may care attitude. And he's a little bit more, agile than C-3PO was.
Right.
And but it was such a good movie. That just the action at the end of it, because we rewatched this last weekend. We just kind of had it on in the background, so you're kind of paying attention to it. And yeah, at the last like 10 or 15 minutes is stop and let's watch what happens.
Yeah,
just because so much action and the Krennic was the thing that stinks is they introduced such good characters that they had to kill off at the end of the movie. But then again, we're getting Andor, so they'll probably revisit them all.
Well, maybe not. The last 45 minutes, like you're saying, last hour, just knocks the whole thing out of the park. You've got so much going on. It's all action. I like the return to form with the space battles.
Yeah.
Classic X-Wing. They even brought back Gold Leader to record a couple lines, and then they inserted some uncut cut footage from A New Hope. And so if you watch him, he says the line from A New Hope, but when they cut to them flying around the shields, he says, what's the exact line? I don't know. And then he cuts and he says, defense shields, or you can begin your attack run on they cut. So instead of the Death Star, it's the attack shield. So I thought that was very creative if you kind of pay attention. But that whole scene, Blue Leader flying into the shields, and then the whole battle, you've got like Return of the Jedi, you got three things going on. You've got Cassian and Jyn trying to get to the Death Star plans trying to get the Death Star plans up out of the shield and to the fleet. You've got the battle on the ground of everyone trying to open up the shield, or trying to open up communications for them to get the information up. Then you've got the space battle of them trying to destroy the shield and give Rogue One time to give them the plans. you've got those three things. And if you think of Return of the Jedi, same thing. You've got the Andor battle, you've got the Death Star battle, and then you've got Luke and Vader and Emperor. So I really like that. I really like how it was action packed, and I thought they knocked that ending out of the park. Krennic was a good villain, but he was a little too headstrong, and too manipulative,
Right.
and aren't too able to be manipulated, because Tarkin was just playing him like a violin, like anything he wanted. Go clean this mess up, go do that, and he was taking all the credit. And even at one point, he tries to go directly to Vader, and that doesn't really work out for him.
Yeah. Sorry. It's a good, you're like getting into all the ins and outs of it.
Am I
and
not
I'm just
supposed
like,
to? We're talking about Rogue One.
No. And I'm just like, I love the movie. No, yeah, Krennic was the play with him and Tarkin was cool. I'm more like watching the end of this movie, like the space battle, and you're realizing real fast that all these people are going in there knowing they're gonna die. Like when the hammerhead, when whatever the commander says, give me a hammerhead Corvette, and he jams it into the side of the Star Destroyer. You're like, how many people did he just send to his death? I mean, that's where my mind is.
Yeah.
And then you realize that pretty much the only ship that made it out of there was the one Leia's on.
Yeah.
So you realize the scope of how many people, were willing to sacrifice just to make sure those plans, to save even millions. So like these, I don't know what, 20,000 people sacrifice themselves so millions could survive.
Yeah. You're talking about Admiral Radis, the
Yes.
calamari.
Yes, the Mon Calamari. And it was just, one of the cooler parts was when that shield came down and ships are bouncing off of it.
Yeah.
You're like, that's how that works.
Yeah, that was awesome.
Yeah, you saw a lot of behind the scenes stuff. There's some stuff that I'm looking forward to with Andor. I mean, we talked a little bit about it this weekend because we were like, well, Hera, here we're going back to Rebels. Sorry, people. Jason likes paranormal stuff and I like Rebels, so we always go back to those. But
we're cool.
But you see Chopper and you hear Hera Syndulla get mentioned, and you're like, what if these people get brought back in Andor, or they're introduced in Andor? So that was an interesting conversation this weekend, because the first season of Andor is what, like 5 years before Rogue One? 5 or 6 years, 10 years, something like that. Jason shaking his head. Yes.
Sorry. It's an audio thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. So it's like, are they gonna come back around or be introduced? So oh yeah, this is another interesting thing, because now that we had nothing to talk about, now I'm all over the place again. The girl that plays Sabine in Ahsoka, that was her birthday last week, and she posted a poster of that everybody signed that's on the Ahsoka show for her, and it has Vanessa Marshall's signature on it. So everybody's freaking out. They're like, is she gonna play Hera? So that would be kind of cool.
If I was a betting man, I would think it's Mary Elizabeth Winstead, Ewan McGregor's wife.
Okay.
I don't think they would. It doesn't seem like the trend is to bring in the voice actors to play the actors on that show. I think they're hiring new actors, and I think she would be the one to play Hera.
What's her name again?
Isn't it Mary Elizabeth Winstead? Hope I got that right.
Okay, Mary Winstead. Let me look her up. I guess with the right makeup. Yeah, I could see that.
I wanted to bring up Tarkin in the movie.
Uh-huh.
I don't know if you're done with that.
No, I'm just, we're jumping around.
Because Tarkin was a CG character, at least the face was. They had a life mask made of the actor, Peter Cushing, for another movie, which they scanned and used that as the basis for Tarkin in this movie. And A lot of people don't like it. I thought it was much better than anything I've seen since or before. Like even some of the young Luke Skywalker stuff kind of throws me off. I thought Tarkin was pretty on point throughout the whole movie. I wish they had spent the same amount of time on Leia as they did Tarkin, because I mean Tarkin is in a darker room, so it is more forgiving when you bring more light into a scene like with Leia. I mean, she's in a white uh cockpit with a white clothing on, and everything is just so bright and it doesn't hide any of the flaws. So when she talks and says hope, it doesn't look like a person saying hope. It looks like a computer generated figure saying hope. But I thought Tarkin worked, and the voice actor was spot on. I thought the introduction of Tarkin as he's looking at the Death Star and you see his reflection there in the window, I thought that was just a great way to introduce the character for the first time in that movie. I thought that was really well done. Did you have
Yes.
problems with Tarkin?
I didn't. I I thought I didn't realize that was CGI. Leia, you were kind of like, could tell, like you were saying, is you're so used to they yeah, like you said, they did such a good job with Tarkin. It's like, is that makeup or did they find somebody who looks like him?
Yeah.
And then Leia, she, Carrie Fisher, Carrie Fisher.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm still not happy with technology. I wish that they would just recast those people. And as Star Wars fans, our brains would just be like, oh, they recast that person.
Yeah.
That's how my mind is, because then now you're into the whole we're gonna do the Luke Skywalker thing, and we're gonna, instead of recasting it, make him look younger, and you're just it. I still argue, man. Star Trek fans are just like, oh, they recast Spock. Us Star Wars fans are like, what the you talking about? You recast Luke Skywalker and Han stuff. And I think that the Solo, the Kathleen Kennedy and Han Solo did bad, so we're not gonna recast anybody anymore, and this is new technology. I think that's a bad call, but why Han Solo did bad? It was overload, Star Wars overload, and it was a bad. It just had as all that movie was great too, but I just think it was
I think
bad time on it.
Yeah, I think because they had to reshoot 90% of the movie, it just shot the budget up and it was tough to be profitable at that point. It
Yeah.
would have to be like $1 billion earner. The other thing I wanted to talk about with Rogue One was Chirrut Îmwe and Baze Malbus. They were added later on. They weren't part of the original scripts. They were added in. Has no relevance to what I'm trying to say. There's a couple things that I wanted to talk. First of all, their relationship. Were they a couple?
You're talking about the blind guy and the
guy with the heavy tank or the heavy gun. Yeah. They cared about each other a lot. And then they could be brothers in arms, like always together all the time, and they're like essentially just brothers.
Uh-huh.
But they could also have like a relationship that we just don't see on screen. It's very ambiguous.
Right.
And I don't know. I just want to know if, like, am I reading too much into it, or is it just enough where it could be but couldn't be? Like, I guess that's my question.
They're definitely, you could, if they're not a couple, they've been friends for a very long time.
Right.
And relying on each other, because there is the, like when the blind guy is getting, I'm sorry, I don't
Cheer it.
My second names. Which one?
Cheer it.
Cheered?
Cheer it.
Cheer it.
Anyways,
when he's getting ready to walk out, and the other one's like, don't, you can't see, and he's like, well, I've got you. Or no, it's when they're getting ready to go down, when they're gonna go do the whatever, they crash right after they crash land on the Imperial base, and he's getting ready to leave, and the guy's like, well, you're blind, and the other guy's like, well, I've got you, and he's like, crap. So if they're, I don't think they're in a quote unquote relation, like a romantic relationship, but you could tell it's definitely a relationship that they had, for a very long time, like best friends for years, because it wasn't like Guardian of the Wills. Was he Yeah,
Yeah.
they're together, and there was a whole comic book on that. So
Yeah, they're the guardians of the wills, and their job was to protect the temple with all the kyber crystals on there. And so the Empire was pulling the kyber crystals out to use that as the source of the laser in the Death Star.
yeah.
And they didn't do a good job apparently because the Emperor got it all.
Well, if you've got a blind dude and just one guy with a heavy gun, they're not going to do a good job against a tank.
Yeah.
I did you ever read those comics or the books or anything?
I did. It was a long time ago. I haven't read them in a while, so I can't say anything about them because I just don't remember.
And you don't read comics anymore, so you can't go
No.
back and reference them.
I have the digital versions of everything that I had. So if I really wanted to,
Okay.
I can go back and read the digital versions, but yeah, I'm out of comic books. The other thing about Chirrut, and I struggle with this because they say he has no force powers. I think the original screenwriter said that these guys don't have the ability to use the force. But Chirrut seems like he's a force user who never got formal training to me.
Yeah, I could see that.
Like
Either that or
he
go ahead.
senses the kyber crystal around Jin's neck as the necklace in a crowded space, and he's blind. So there's
Well,
that.
he had a kyber crystal on his staff at the end of his staff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. You could the force is such a weird thing that you could have been a Jedi, but that never got the training, or it's you've got people like him who just they can feel it, but they don't know how to use it. So it could have
Yeah.
been something like that too.
Yeah, but the force can control your actions. As Obi-Wan kind of tells Luke. But it can also obey your command. And it seems just like in that first scene where Chirrut is facing off against the stormtroopers, and it's him against 8 of them essentially. He doesn't get a scratch or a blast bolt hit him, and so it's just like the force is controlling his movements, and you have to be attuned to the force in order to do that. So I mean, I know it's probably one of those situations where if you don't have a sense of hearing, then you've got a stronger sense of smell or something like that. And so maybe because he's blind, he's got a stronger sense in the force. That's what I just struggle with them saying like he has no force abilities, and it's like the movie doesn't present that. The movie has the movie presents it as he's got some sort of force abilities. Even his whole trust in the force was protecting him as he walked from the base to that master control switch, and the only time he got hit was when he completed his mission, and the force kind of said, okay, you've done your thing, and he gets blowed up.
Right. Yeah, I mean, he could be, or he could have just been, like a different sect, where he's not. I mean, is there different sects? Like there's a Jedi that's like a crazy force user who really knows how to use it, and then you've got like the Wills who can bend the force, but they don't have the power of the Jedi.
Yeah.
That's something maybe they need to look into. Maybe that's something they can work on in the future.
Maybe.
That sounds like that'd be a pretty cool story to tell. There's just so much lore in the Star Wars universe that we don't know about that they could just make up, or whatever. And it's not like we can go back to the EU because that doesn't exist in canon anymore.
Yeah.
So I mean, is he a different sect of force user or denomination or whatever? I don't know what the proper term is, but could there be different denominations of force users out there that we don't know about, and he's just one of them?
It's possible. I guess I think that it's all either the Jedi or I don't know. I mean, the Night Sisters are all a different, like you're saying, a different philosophy in the Force, I guess.
Right. I don't know what the proper term is. I don't know what the Star Wars term would be for that.
Well, like the
All I
Night
know
Sisters
is
would be witches, and then Jedis would be like Buddhist monks.
right.
So, but they still use the same kind of abilities, just different practice. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, you do have that could be. I mean, he could be. I mean, you just use the term Buddhist monks, but I mean, he could be a different kind of monk or something.
Yeah.
Because if I was going to pick between him and a Jedi, they call monks, I would call him a monk over a Jedi because he definitely has that feel.
Yeah.
Where the Jedi doesn't. Jedi's more a warrior.
Yeah. The other thing I wanted to talk about were the stormtroopers.
Yes.
What? You kind of smiled.
No, I'm
Did I
just
change
agreeing.
the subject
Sorry.
too abruptly?
No.
You have more to say?
I'm just agreeing. I feel like if I don't say something like agree with you, it just
You can disagree.
no, like not disagree or agree or just like make comments like I'm going to do this. I'm like, all right, let's go.
Oh, okay.
I have to
Stormtroopers.
let my presence known.
Okay.
Stormtroopers.
Yes. So, what's the right thing to do? Do you follow precedent and have the exact same stormtrooper mask, or do you go forward and try to enhance it as the intended mask should be? So, what I mean by that, when I was watching Rogue One, I'm like, the stormtroopers just seem like richer. Their helmets seem richer. And what it was is in the original mask, they have those kind of tubes that come down and they've got blue marks. They're like pinstripes almost going up the tubes. And I guess the thought at the time was those would be indented. They would be not indented, but sculpted out a little bit, concave. But they just ended up putting stickers there. So when Rogue One came out, they actually did that. They pushed it in and then they painted it blue to look like the original. But there was just subtle details, like they were very, very shiny armor. In Star Wars, it just seemed like they came out of the mold. They did very little to polish it up, and they just said, "Here, throw it on." And they did what they could. They did the best they could, but they weren't really. It was low budget, and they weren't really going the extra mile. Whereas now they are, and it just seemed richer. So you're going from Rogue One to Star Wars, and there is a decrease in quality in the Stormtrooper armor. And is that what they should do? Maybe I'm just trying to stir up controversy. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
They had to go forward in it because everything has progressed. And one of the things that somebody pointed out, I mean, yeah, if you can make the Stormtrooper armor better, I thought you were going to go more like with the Shore Troopers and stuff. But I mean, because everything, you would have to like go backwards in technology 40 years, to make stuff look the same. And yes, Star Wars, when it came out, was low budget. You listen to the stuff on Disney Plus, and they were scraping together to try to make it happen.
Mm-hmm.
They were over budget and underpaid, and a bunch of rebels trying to make a movie. And then by the time now, 40 years later, where it's $1 billion company, you can do whatever you want.
Yeah,
so
you can invest.
Yeah. So are you trying to stir something up? Yeah, maybe. But you know what? F it. It's fun. It's fun to talk about stuff.
Yeah.
And I think if they would have made it look, I think you would have more complaints if they tried making it look like they did 40 years ago with 40-year-old technology, where they could have made it look. I think it would have been harder for them to make it look, use the 40-year-old technology versus making it today. And yeah, I didn't notice that, but I'm more looking at like the special effects. I'm looking at the blue screen. I'm looking at different stuff. I'm not looking at the details. I'm looking at the bigger picture when I watch a movie. And I think it bugs my wife when I'm like watching something that's shot here in Atlanta, and I'm like, I've been there. I know where that is.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
No, it's just fun to talk about. You can call shit because everything is like that. You can find something that, I don't want to say you're complaining, but something different in everything.
Yeah. I thought that the Shore Trooper was they hit it out of the park. I mean, that was just a home run design there. They kind of built upon the Scout Trooper, and they gave it a shield, and they blended it in with a sun shield, I guess, like a visor, and they blended it in with the sand. I felt like, if there was a sand trooper, There's a sand trooper, a shore trooper, someone that patrols a beach. It would be these guys.
Yeah.
I thought they were an awesome design. When I first saw them, I was just like, my heart was just in love. I was like, look at it, it's gorgeous.
Isn't it beautiful?
K2SO at first, I guess I have I have trouble adjusting because where was that in the original trilogy? In Rogue One, they're
Yeah.
walking everywhere, and here in the rest of the movies, it's not anywhere.
It's the same thing with the Death Troopers, man. Because the Death Troopers
Well, the Death
in
Troopers, sorry to interrupt, but I kind of felt like that's a specialized team that seemed to be just surrounded by Krennic. So if Krennic in the end dies, then they're like, we don't need this team anymore.
but then Thrawn's got them in Rebels.
Yeah.
So it's the
True.
same thing with the Death Troopers. And I don't. I guess it's also one of those things where you have to create something new to get people to buy it from a marketing standpoint. But yeah, but I think the Shore Troopers and the Death Troopers both were awesome designs, and you are getting they're popping back up in other things, so it's not the last time we get to see them. But there again, you're like, just like with your argument with the stormtrooper helmets, you're like, sometimes you just gotta, I guess, let stuff go.
Yeah.
Even though it's it is because when I first saw both of those designs, I'm like, man, you don't get, how are they gonna make them to where you don't see them? How are they gonna explain them away?
Right.
Because this is the first time we've seen them and it's a prequel.
Yeah, I would imagine George would throw him in the background at some point if it was still his whole franchise. He would make a special edition and throw the K2S droid in the background of a Death Star somewhere.
I'm still not done. Let's go.
Let's go.
I've got to put this guy in the background. That's not how George talks, but hey.
No, it's not. Hey, you got to go a little bit higher. That's a little too Kermity. I'm George Lucas here.
That's total Kermit.
Yeah. I also appreciated some of the details that they added to explain things in A New Hope, like Galen Erso built in the flaws of the Death Star because he was working for them but hated that, so he built a system to destroy it.
Right.
And it always seemed a little too convenient that this X-wing could just fly in and shoot a proton torpedo and blow it up. Well, there's a reason for that. Galen Erso was working against the Empire as he worked for the Empire. So I appreciated that. I know some people didn't like that. What were your thoughts?
I really like how they retrocon stuff in Star Wars because they do it in such a good way. Even going back to Solo when they put that droid's memory into the Falcon, and then you see C-3PO in A New Hope, where your Falcon, your ship's got such a interesting dialogue or whatever. So that it's like they find stuff on purpose to retcon. And I thought that was really awesome. That they did that. And what else did they do? But yeah, everything they just, I think Star Wars does it to a fault. They do such a good job of it. They do it to a fault because they don't let anything, that's sort of the reason why that is the reason why they got rid of the EU, because they were tired of having a whole team of people reading a book and going, wait a minute, this line here, I've got to reference this book from 20 years ago. In another line, it doesn't jive. So you've got to fix it. So that's why they redid the canon. So yeah, I enjoy that. And they do it too good, in my opinion.
And the other going into that, going into the nuance of speeches and dialogue, they say in A New Hope two different things, like the Death Star plans were stolen and the Death Star plans were beamed to the ship, right?
Right.
Or there's two lines. There's definitely the beam to the ship, which they explain in Rogue One, but then they also take that card from one ship to another, which I think explained another line in A New Hope. Because there's the whole scene of Darth Vader in the hallway.
Oh, that was such a badass scene.
So yeah, we'll get to that in a second, but just the nuance of the dialogue and how when you watch Rogue One, oh yeah, there they are beaming the plans to the ship, and then they are physically taking the plans from one ship to another, which explains that the why it's kind of different, or why the lines are different in A New Hope.
Right.
But
And there again, it could just be, potato thing, but they take the extra time, shoot it to make you feel it.
yeah, there's a couple more things that we talk about Rogue One, there's a couple more things that come up, but I wanted to talk about the Death Star, Darth Vader scene, both of
Yes.
them. The first scene where he's talking to Krennic, I was essentially praying in the theater, oh my God, is this, please be Hayden, please be Hayden. But it wasn't Hayden. He didn't show up. It was someone else. Especially when they were draining the back stuff from the tank, I thought we would see Hayden Christensen, but we never did, unfortunately. We see him in Obi-Wan, but we don't see him here. There was a weird strut in Vader as he's walking towards Krennic, which doesn't seem like the Vader walk. And then James Earl Jones just sounded so old and so wispy. I struggle with that. I guess they learned their lesson, or they did something different for Obi-Wan, because Vader was just 10 times better in Obi-Wan than in Rogue One, and I appreciated the improvement. But that second scene of him in the Death Star hallway, or the home one, is it home one? Don't at me. In the Rebel ship, when Darth Vader appears, that whole scene was amazing. Worth the price of entry right there. I'd watch that scene over and over again for 2 hours and pay full price to see it in the theater.
Yeah, that whole scene, it was just like, man, Vader's such a badass. And there again, you're going back to the, oh, he wasn't that badass with Obi-Wan in A New Hope. Oh, yeah, it just, I think they did a good job of reintroducing that, and you do definitely, you, like with the series, what happens, but the is there
You keep
with
breaking
that
up.
scene.
You keep breaking up. Try it again.
I'm sorry. So just like with the Kenobi series, where they, what happens, but you're sitting there tensing up the whole time.
Mhm.
They did that in that scene perfect.
Yeah.
Star Wars, they do, it's such, it just, when they get into it and they really want to do it, they do such a good job storytelling, but then
Yeah.
they can put out crap sometimes too. And it just, and I don't want to say the prequels were crap. I think the prequels, they weren't prepared, and they just did it and said, oh, people won't care. And we did.
Yeah. I like how everyone keeps saying they're still good in Vader. And I think that's highlighted in the scene in Rogue One where he just tears apart these rebel fleet troopers. And when he meets Obi-Wan Kenobi again, there is some hesitation because there is some good in him, and he's not like, I'm just going to tear you apart, because I think there's a part of him that doesn't want to tear apart Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he doesn't want to tear apart Luke Skywalker. He wants, there's a part of him that just kind of is hesitant on doing that because there is some good in him, but you can definitely see the evil in him in a scene like that in Rogue One. Just
Right.
adds the nuance.
Well, he was also trying to get those plans because he knew, what would happen if the rebels got a hold of him.
Yeah.
Which I don't even think they really even knew. They didn't know. Did they know? Did they know that he planted that there?
He planted what? You broke up.
Did they know that Jalen Urso planted that flaw in the Death Star plans, or were they just like, they can't get the Death Star plan, so
Well, Jin knew
we got to
about
go
it.
after him?
Jin knew about
yeah.
it because of the hologram that Galen gave to Saw Gerrera.
Right, but the Empire didn't know about it.
The Empire did not know about it. That was something he kept secret from them.
Okay.
And he only told Saw and Jin, and then the hologram got destroyed, and then Jin had to carry that throughout the movie, the truth about the flaw in the Death Star plans and why it was so important to get that to destroy the Death Star for the rebels.
Right.
The other thing I wanted to bring up with the trailer, do you remember the trailers at all?
Yeah, the changing scenes in the
Yeah.
trailers.
Yeah, there was a shot where they're running across the beach and the ACTs are like right in front of them blasting sand in the air. And that
Uh-huh.
came about from the original version of the movie where they had to go up a tower to steal the plans, go down, go up a second tower to broadcast the plans. And in the end, they decided to cut that. And so that whole scene where they're running the beach was between the towers, running from one tower to the other. They decided just to cut that, make it simple, keep it simple, and make it all just one tower. You just keep going up, which I think made more sense.
Yeah. The one thing that they cut out that I wish you would have seen was that TIE fighter swinging in on Jen, because that was that I thought was a really cool shot. And they kind of pushed it on the in the whatever they're called, trailers, and then you don't get to see that. You're kind of waiting for that happen, and you see her up on the tower, and you're just like, oh man, I don't get to see that awesome scene.
Yeah.
But yeah,
Gareth Edwards said that that was just like a test shot that ended up getting in the trailer. And I'm like, that doesn't make sense.
yeah. Well, there again, you can make any excuse you want.
Yeah. Um, but the whole like I rebel, that seemed a little hokey. So I thought what we got in the final scene, the final version, was much better. It was a little too on the nose, I guess, when she said I rebel. This is a rebellion, right? I rebel. Seemed a
I
little too on the
totally missed
nose.
that.
Yeah, there was a part where she kind of with attitude said, "This is a rebellion, right? Well, I rebel."
Is that the same thing where, rebellions are built on hope? They just changed it, or is it in that same thing, or
Yeah,
is
it's
it
that
on totally different?
same scene, like right when she gets captured by the rebellion for the first time. Um, there was something else I wanted to bring up about Rogue One. Oh, I can definitely sympathize and empathize with Gareth Edwards because he was at Starbucks
Uh-huh.
and he told him his name was Gareth, and on the cup they wrote Scarif, which is how the name came about. I was at Starbucks
Oh.
a couple weeks ago. It was probably, I think I was coming back from something Star Wars. Maybe it was Orion's. And I stopped at Starbucks and I told them my name is Jason. And so they, okay, Mason with an M.
Oh, jeez.
And so they masoned me a couple times. And when I came around and picked up the cup, they said, "Have a good day, Nathan." I'm like,
Dude,
okay, I got three different names at this one Starbucks: Jason, Mason, and Nathan.
dude, I get called different names all the time, and I'm just like, okay, whatever.
But
Because
it's
I'll
funny.
get Greg, huh?
No, sorry, go ahead.
No, but I'll like get Greg a lot, and I'm just like, whatever, man. You're getting the G right.
Yeah. But it's like if this was a Star Wars movie, the planet would be named Mason or Nathan if I was writing it. Welcome to Nathan. The
Nathan's
Empire has a
hot dog.
base. Yeah, Nathan. We sell hot dogs and we have Death Star plans.
Oh, there used to be some good Nathan's hot dogs stands up here, but I don't know what happened to them or if they're
Yep.
still around.
Well,
But
we've got
now
a
we're gonna get
collect.
talking about.
We've got a collecting podcast. So let's talk about collectibles real quick. There was the
Yes.
whole Rogue One, which the Force Awakens came out and there was tons of figures that supported that line, and then when Rogue One came out there was a little bit less than before. Last Jedi came out, it was about the same as Rogue One. Solo came out and it was less than the previous, and then Rise of Skywalker came out and there wasn't even a toy line to support that. But you did get your basic figures. There were 5 points of articulation. You got your K2SO, your Imperial Ground Crew. Sabine was part of that Rogue One wave. Jyn Erso from Edu, Kanan was part of the Rogue One packaging for some reason. It was all going. Rebels was still going on at the time. That's why
Right.
the
It's probably
Stormtrooper.
they wanted to get both the Rogue One and the Rebels,
Yeah, there was the Stormtrooper. There was a Princess Leia, but that was a Princess Leia from Rebels, and that ended up on clearance at Walmart. I remember seeing that. There was Peg Warmer was that Princess Leia. You had your Vader, you had your Chirrut, you had your Cassian. from Edu. You had Jyn Erso from Jeddah. Rey from Jakku was part of the Rogue One line. I guess they were still promoting The Force Awakens. Director Krennic, the Death Trooper, Bodhi Rook, Grand Admiral Thrawn, who had a couple variants if you're a variant chaser, because his insignia was Grand Admiral, but then I think he also had a director one. They misdid the insignia on him. There was Sergeant Jyn Erso, and there was a variant there as well as the Imperial ground crew disguise. There was one with her in the package with the mask on and one without. So if you're, again, variant chaser, there's that. There's the shore trooper, Admiral Radis, Fen Rao, which was short packed, was tough to find. And then Entertainment Earth, I think, got a bunch of them. So Fen Rao was the tough one to find, and he went up to like $50 at one point until Entertainment Earth got a bunch of them, and then the price went down. I haven't checked the price on that. We should. Lieutenant Cephala, who was one of the troopers on the ground, Galen Erso.
Yeah, those were the figures that got knocked. The Black Series, that was the case where
I haven't
they
got
were
to Black
clearancing them
Series.
out. Huh?
I haven't got to Black Series yet.
Oh, okay.
But those are
Sorry.
those are the 3.75.
Okay.
Did you collect any of those? Did you get the Rebels ones?
Yeah, I've got some of the Rebels ones. I do have a Thrawn at least that I found on clearance at Tuesday morning one day for like
Okay.
$3.
The Kanan was Stormtrooper in disguise.
Oh, I do have that one.
Yeah.
I'd have to go look and see which Rebels I've got on the Rogue One card, because they did the Rebels card in like the Stormtrooper mask, and then they changed them to Rogue One.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So I guess I'd have to go look and see which ones I've got. I got Rebel. Yeah, I've got a few different Rebel stuff.
And then there was the 2-packs. There was the Shore Trooper Squad Leader versus Moroff, which was like a white Wookiee looking guy who was in the background for just like 3 seconds. If you look hard enough, he's there. There's a Snow Trooper versus Poe, who still had the Rogue One packaging on it. These are still 3.75. Commander Pow versus the Imperial Death Trooper, and Commander Pow was the lizardy guy that kind of opens up his mouth. He was there. Baze Malbus versus an Imperial Stormtrooper. Darth Maul versus the Seventh Sister, which is another Rebels tie-in. Captain Cassian Andor versus Stormtrooper, and then the Shore Trooper versus Captain Bistan, which was the space monkey looking guy. I think he even made like monkey noises. As far as vehicles, then there was a 4-pack, the Jedi Revolt, which was all repackaged except for 2 tubes. And the was he a tanker guy? Yeah, he's a tank. I saw Gerrera. So no, only Jyn Erso was the one that was repacked. So there's 2 tubes, Saw Gerrera, and the tank trooper commander guy, and then Jyn. And then for vehicles, there was the U-Wing, which is a really good vehicle. The wings kind of fold in and out. Really looking forward to seeing if Jazzwares does one of those. This was, I don't know if Hasbro just got the Nerf license or if they just bought Nerf, because they were integrating Nerf into all this stuff. So the U-Wing had Nerf gun that came down. The TIE Striker, again, there was 2 different versions. The regular version had a green Nerf arrow that shot out of it, and then there was the battle damaged version, which was a Toys R Us exclusive. Again, had the Nerf blaster come out of it, and then there was the big one, the AT-ACT, which again had the Nerf blaster on it. It was really huge. It was automated. It was an AT-ACT that walked on its own. It came with a Imperial driver, Jyn, and then the C2B5 droid, which was an Imperial droid. Wasn't there an A-Wing that came? I don't have it on here. Maybe I'm missing the A-Wing.
There was an A-Wing with the Nerf, but it had Hera in it.
Yeah, so I'm missing that. I'm gonna have to get that now. Great.
So was that a Rogue One packaging?
Yeah, that was Rogue One packaging.
Okay, because I opened mine, so I don't know what the packaging was. But I have it. It's like a little mini A-Wing. It's pretty small.
Yeah. And then you were talking about Black Series. Yeah, those came out, and then you don't like this, the face sculpt and the paint applications on those,
No, they were horrible.
but they were clearanced at one point for like 3 cents
Pennies.
at Walmart. We bought a
Yeah.
bunch of them. We donated some to Toys for Tots. I opened up a couple. Those were great.
Yeah, they did the same thing with the Rogue One line. They had them at the Dollar Tree.
Yep.
So we were running around picking them up to have for the club to donate, or when we were doing raffles to give
Yep.
them away for kids. And they did pretty good.
Black Series 22 was Jyn Erso, 23 was Cassian Andor, 24 was K2SO, and I also have the variant 24 with Red Eyes K2SO. There's Imperial Death Trooper, Director Krennic, which was 27, the Scarif, the Stormtrooper Squad Leader, and there was a Target exclusive Stormtrooper. Later on down the line, they had a Chirrut as 36 and Baze, which was 37. Those two were tough to find at first, but I was able to track them down. Who else? Because they haven't done many. They kind of stopped doing Rogue One figures for a while until just recently. We had a Galen that's still on Target shelves. You've got your what's his name? I'm doing this by memory. Antok Merrick, the blue leader, and Saw Gerrera. They're all
Yeah, Saw Gerrera is a new figure. They just re-released him or just released him.
Bodhi Rook and the Jedha Commander Stormtrooper. Those were just released as well. They re-released all of the Rogue One stuff just now with the digital face printing technology. So there's a lot of collectibles for Rogue One. It's very supported by Hasbro, which is cool because it's one of my favorite of the Disney movies.
Do you think they're doing that? They were doing that to push Andor? Or
that's a good question. I didn't think about that. I mean, the timing is pretty impeccable, especially since Saw Gerrera appears in Andor.
Yeah.
I don't think Antok Merrick or Bodhi Rook will appear.
I know they got two tubes, but yeah.
Two tubes does appear, yes, because Saw Gerrera does. Maybe we'll get a two tubes Black Series figure.
That'd be cool. That's a cool. The when you were talking about, all these figures and stuff, it reminded me that Rogue One is the first time we really start to see kit bashing, where you have one of Saul's guys has got the, a speeder bike helmet.
Yeah.
He painted black and he's wearing like a robe or what, not a robe, but a trench coat. And, you're finally getting that Star Wars that I really enjoy. The used universe. Yeah. Because then you get it a little bit in The Mandalorian, because his first uniform, his first set of armor has a shore trooper pauldron on it, or chest piece or whatever, not chest piece, shoulder piece, which I was like, oh man, this is going to be awesome. And he kept it for one show. Thanks, Star Wars. That's another thing that irks me about Star Wars is like, you do have the damn, my hearing aids feeding back. But anyway, did you hear that feeding back?
Nope.
Nope. All right.
It's probably just in your head.
It probably is. You get like this really cool thing like the ATST Raider, and it's blown up in like 30 seconds. And but I guess that's just me being me. It just is aggravating to me.
Or you do a HasLab for a Razor Crest, and then the next week it blows up. It doesn't exist in Star Wars anymore.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff, you mean?
Yeah. Totally.
Yeah. And then
but I will give it to them. They timed that perfectly. They timed that perfectly.
Yeah, they did. And then as far as the vintage collection, to wrap up all the collectibles, I don't know if people care about this, but if you do need a list, it's available online. It's called Google. There was a Jyn Erso vintage collection figure. There was a Cassian Andor figure. There was the Death Trooper from the beginning. I think it was one of the cut scenes. It's a pretty badass figure with our image on the packaging with the Death Trooper holding one of the Stormtrooper dolls, and I think there's an explosion behind him. Is that it? There's not a Saw Gerrera. There's not a Bodhi Rook. There is a Chirrut. Chirrut came out in the vintage collection. There was the Blue Leader X-Wing, which I was able to grab, but I haven't opened him yet. I don't think I will. Hasbro's smart because they're starting to stick a figure into all of these, an exclusive figure into their vehicles, but I don't like breaking seals. And then the figure itself, like people who do open it, the figure goes for just as much as a boxed X-Wing. So it's not like I could just buy the figure from someone else, because that's $100 right there. So
yeah, I don't know. Never mind. I was gonna say it doesn't make sense, but yeah, that Jawa, man, that Jawa from the Razor Crest, I thought, it's 75 to $100 just for that. But
there was also a K2SO vintage collection figure. But I think that's it for TVC right now for Rogue One. But that's all the collectibles, and that's our thoughts on Rogue One. What do you hope to see from Andor? Is there anything that you want to see?
just some good content that I'm not expecting. I mean, I'm trying not to get really into spoilers with Andor, but I know that they're kind of doing the whole 5 years or whatever. It's either 5 or 10 years out as the first season, and then they're gonna every episode on the second season will pack it up. And then you said that the whole plan is to end it where he's getting on the ship to go to the start of Rogue One.
Yeah, to murder that guy who's got the
or meet that guy that's got the plans or whatever, or meet whatever that guy he shoots in the first. Yeah, I'm really hoping. I'm hoping in Andor we're gonna see the and the Death Troopers and stuff that they killed off in Rogue One, that we're gonna get to see in Andor. I'm hoping we get to see how he gets K2SO or rescues K2SO eventually, and see that character brought back. Hell, I'm hoping maybe we'll get to see Harrison Dula in Andor.
Bring it back to Rebels.
It's always back to Rebels, man. And yeah, I don't even know if I mentioned this in the podcast, but I know I've talked to you about it. Speaking of freaking getting your hopes up for a damn series, freaking Rosario Dawson is saying how she saw freaking Dave Filoni coming out of his first viewing of the Ahsoka series in tears, going, it's perfect. And I'm like, damn it, why do I have to hear this kind of stuff? And saying it's a religious experience watching the first episode of Ahsoka, and I'm like, so why do you have to tell you this kind of stuff? Because when you hear this kind of stuff, you're like, it's gonna suck, and you're get your hopes up, and
anyways, back to Andor.
Back to Andor. Is that what we're talking about?
We're talking about Andor.
We're talking about Andor. I just want good Star Wars. I want another Kenobi, not another Kenobi, but another series that's as good as Kenobi, that just keeps us on the edge of our seats for another 2 years or 3 years or whatever.
It'd be cool to see the radicalization of Saw Gerrera.
Yeah, that'd be cool, because at the beginning they show him and he's still bald like he is in a Rogue One, or is he just got
I think he's bald. I think it was the earlier version, but he gets more and more crazed as his life progresses. It would be cool to see him become deliberated, affected by the gases on Geonosis. I think it's the gas on Geonosis that causes him to have the breathing problem, where he needs the oxygen. It affects his lungs, and so I think that'd be cool to see. I'm not going to get my hopes about that. I'm tired of them pitching see the beginning of the rebellion. It's like, well, I saw that in Rebels. How many times do I need to see the beginning of the rebellion?
But there again, it's such a big universe, we can see it from a different angle.
Different perspective.
Different perspective. I think you're going to see the more gritty side of Star Wars in this show, and I that's something we've been begging for. The underground, because we were supposed to get it with that 1313. Is that what it's called?
Yeah.
we were supposed to get it with that, and that never came to fruition. So now we're finally, you kind of saw it in Rogue One, but it was a movie, so they couldn't really go into it. And now that it's a series that they can take 2-3 years to put out there, we're going to get to see it. I'm kind of curious how they're going to build on it with the Ahsoka show, and how are we going to deal with different timelines being out at the same time?
Yeah. Can you let me share the screen real quick? Because they have the first clip released from Andor. And I thought it sets up direction really well as to what Cassian is up to.
So which is it? It's a game. I know you bribe quartermasters to leave valuables on the ships before they come in for scrap, but this isn't that. This isn't something to let pass.
No. I went in and got this myself.
How? How's that possible? It was sealed on the Imperial Naval Base in Steergard.
Look, you got the money, I got the box. What else is there to talk about?
I'll give you another 1,000 credits to tell me how you got it.
Another 1,000.
Done. How?
You just walk in like you belong.
Takes more than that, doesn't it?
What, to steal from the Empire? What do you need? A uniform, some dirty hands, and an Imperial toolkit. They're so proud of themselves, they don't even care. They're so fat and satisfied, they can't imagine it.
Can't imagine what?
That someone like me would ever get inside their house, walk their floors, spit in their food, take their gear.
I thought that sets up who Cassian is in the show, that he's going to be this master spy. So I'm expecting, based on that, I'm expecting a lot of cool spy stuff from Andor.
That'd be cool.
It also explains how he's able to just walk into the base on Scarif, because that's his philosophy. You just walk in like you own the place. And they're too arrogant to say, hey, wait, that doesn't seem right.
Yeah.
So cool.
And truthfully, I hate to say it, but that's a good rule to have too. If you want to infiltrate a place, here, just walk in there like you don't give a crap. And like you're walking, how many places you can get away with where you just like, yeah, I'm supposed to be here with a clipboard and a pen and start looking around.
Yeah. My dad once went to like a ritzy cigar bar in South Florida, and you had to be a member. And him and a couple of his buddies, and I'm like, how did you get in there? Because it's like an expensive, like, it's like Club 33 where you have to pay to get in, and you have to pay your dues and stuff like that. And we just walked in like we belong there. Like, I don't have the cojones for that, but yeah, it's the same kind of philosophy. It works.
Yeah, I've only done it once.
I've never done it. I don't have the cojones.
Yeah. So,
all right.
Yeah, I'm scrolling Facebook, and that poster looks amazing, dude. I just saw the Andor poster popped up.
Oh yeah.
And it just looks incredible. You actually saw Guerrero's got you see him, and he's got a little bit of an afro going. So
okay. So I wonder if that hair is a metaphor for, a symbol for his radicalization. Like, the more hair he has, the more radical. The less hair he has, the more trustworthy and team playery. Because I think towards the end, he's not a team player anymore. He's got his own agenda.
Yeah. And that one guy that you just played the scene with, I mean, I think he bounces back and forth, because there's scenes where you see him living like high on the hog, and then you see him, being broke or with nothing. So it seems like there's going to be a good bouncing back and forth with him.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I want good Star Wars content, man. That's all I freaking want. Give me good Star Wars content.
Again, I miss the Star Wars movie experience. I would love to have a Star Wars movie. I would love for Andor to be a prequel movie, but I guess their philosophy is keep it out of the theater to make them miss it and want it.
Yeah.
And then we'll like it more. I don't know.
Well, dude, even the movies now, because you see, they're like, okay, live in theaters and live, the same day. So I don't know if we're ever going to get that back, just in general, the movie theater experience, because truthful, I mean, I hate paying $30 to watch it in my house, but would I rather pay $30 to watch it in my house or pay $30, in a movie theater?
I take the theater.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I'm the
personal
same way.
preference.
I would rather have the movie theater experience. Because I do there's my house, I can't compete with the movie theater
Yeah.
as far as that goes. Are you going to go to try seeing some movies today since they're $3?
No, I got to cut the grass. I got to finish painting cabinets. I got to clean a lot. I got laundry I got to fold and put away. No. You?
I think I'm in the same boat as you. My grass needs cutting, and I've got laundry that's been sitting in my dryer for a week.
Responsibilities. They suck.
Yeah. So.
Well, you have a good Labor Day.
You too, buddy.
Hope everyone listening had a good Labor Day weekend.
Yeah, you going to the lake on Labor Day?
No, it turns out there's nothing going on Labor Day this weekend at the lake. I think one of our cousins have it.
Ah, damn.
Yeah.
That stinks.
Well, thank you for listening to the Smugglers Galaxy podcast. If you could, please leave a like and a 5-star review of the show anywhere you listen to podcasts. It really helps us out and points people to our show. You can follow us on social media. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, and YouTube. Send us an email or message us. We'd love feedback. We'd always love to make you part of the show. Our email address is smugglersgalaxy@gmail.com. Thank you to Alfonso Riviera for the Smugglers Galaxy logo. You can find him at Puerto Rico Star Wars on Facebook. And thank you to Levi Waterhouse for the Smugglers Galaxy music. Hasbro re-released VC66 hashtag vote with your wallet. Pass on what you've learned. Be a positive force in the collecting community. This is the way.
This is the way.